Good day, Captains. It's Admiral Revan speaking. Hope you're doing well, and welcome to December 2024, with a less than a few weeks before Christmas. Oh boy, there's a lot of things to prepare. So here we are, diving in on the public test server, and you're wondering what the hell is Admiral Revan doing on the public test server in this operation? Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I quickly want to introduce you to something that's brand new and coming soon in World of Warships in the near future. This is something that's in the public test right now and is live. It's patch version 14, which is something to do with operations. Yes, I don't know how you're going to say it. I think it's called like Operation Flagship or Flagship Operations. I'm not 100% sure how this works, but basically there's new ships. Well, not really new, but there's ships in there with a bit of a diversity. And basically they have some special abilities like Incendiary Specialist, Torpedo Master, and Iron Fist, like I'm going to show you here. So basically these things something that's brand new coming up in the game for these flagships. Now these flagships have these unique abilities and stuff like that. They actually hurt a lot more, and honestly these flagships will have more firepower. But keep in mind though that there's a couple other things that I want to talk about this. So for a person who has played the game more than 3 years, I have played the game at least 9 years myself, approaching 10 now. But for a person who's played the game at least 3 to 4 years or more, they would know exactly what I'm talking about in this topic. So a while ago, World of Warships had these operations like Cherry Blossom, Hermes, and Ultimate Frontier, for example, that they had been pulled away for quite some time, just to be revamped, remastered, and reconfigured into the new setting that they have to work with the new content and everything for World of Warships. So all the operations in the game today at the moment works with tier 6 all the way to tier super, which is quite interesting and diverse. If you think about it, they used to be only restricted to from tier 6 to tier 8. So it has changed over the years. Nowadays, that this new style gameplay for the Operation Flagship, well, this implies that you're going to have some interesting fun and engagement. There's a weird icon on the flagship here. This is the class widths. So you'll notice that they have an icon with a large health pool, and also that it gives you a very good excuse to actually score some good citadels and some racking up a lot of damage meters and having a bit of fun with it. I have to say that a lot of people were enjoying it, to be honest with you. Me, I actually love the idea of it just for bragging rights, but at the same time, though, that, well, I have to admit that there's a bit of a drawback behind this story. So the drawback behind this is that we're doing a bit of the same old operation gameplay style, and the content is just like, It puts us a bit of a harder pickle situation though, because I like operations, but when you feel like a bit of a repetitiveness, it just gets a bit too much. And honestly, unfortunately, that when I was playing the operations like this for 3 hours straight, it got to the point that I was actually a bit bored with it. And I have to admit that, you know, for the amount of time I spent on this public test server, just to see the differences between each of the operations that was available when I played it, and to put in context here that, well, that one thing I can say is that the general mechanics of the game is still the same. So basically, in terms of where the ships go, the triggering and things like that, the idea of it is there. But what has changed is that basically the general gameplay style of the ships. You will notice that these ships will actually learn to dodge your torpedoes a lot better, and at the same time learn how to kite away from your incoming shells, or turn bow in to take the shells as well too, which is kind of interesting. Some just take the position of defense and actually kite away from it successfully. The so-called flagships, they really do pack a punch, they really hurt like hell as well, but also the general standard ships as well in the game. The other thing that I've noticed that was pretty good about it was like there's a little bit of a challenge incentive for you to actually play a bit more defensive and aggressive at the same time. A friend of mine actually bragged with me about when he was playing the Minotaur, he actually rocked over 700k damage, and I have to say that that was quite phenomenal. I have to admit that there's something good about this operation though that I will admit that was a bit interesting, that they have tweaked these operations to have a bit of arms race gameplay style. Now what I'm saying is that when it comes to that is that some random warships in the enemy team, if they get destroyed and stuff like that, you'll have to keep an eye out for them, that they will drop a random buff drop, and basically it could be either for reload time to extra firepower or whatever it is that could be quite beneficial for you and your teammates. So that's actually something to take in consideration, that you have to be mindful for that sort of thing. The funny thing about it all is like the actual aspect of how we play these warships is really challenging and going forward. I have to admit though that when I was looking into this battlefield and watching, you know, like how my teammates are working on to focusing these destroyers or cruisers, for example, that the enemy has actually learnt that from us, and actually they have done it as well too, and it's quite you know, damn effective. So it's not good to be on a receiving end, I have to tell you the truth. Yeah, I will admit that these so-called buffs that they have introduced, the Incendiary Specialist, the Torpedo Master, and the Iron Fist that I mentioned briefly, that is quite, you know, interesting, that how Wargaming is actually going to be putting that together in the near future. I don't know like how it's going to work with this whole, you know, game mechanics and everything, but what I can say is that one, I like the challenge. Two, I just feel that it's going to be too challenging for the average player base. Now, the average player base, generally speaking, is that I have seen and heard many stories about this before in the past, but this is no brainer for me, that is, that over the years in playing World of Warships, I have noticed that when it comes down to operations, that some people know what they're doing and some people don't, which is fair enough. And also there's the in-between. The in-between is really the clueless state of mind with how things have been handled. There are some people out there that would complain how difficult the asymmetric battles was. Now, asymmetric battles was a good example because when some people complained about how difficult it was, I just said to myself, like, hang on a second, how come it's difficult? I just don't get it. So, you know, like, I just could not understand the reason for the difficulty. So in all seriousness though, for me, I just like kind of like sit down there and go like, right, okay, well, some people find it difficult, that's fair enough. Oof, that's a good hit there. But, you know, that takes a bit of practice, and it depends on what kind of ship you play as well too. What I've noticed in operations and even asymmetric battles is that people have a tendency to just rush in there. In operations like this, you shouldn't need to rush in there, and basically you should be working together as a team, learn how to focus fire on your targets and actually kill the enemy quicker in flagship operation gun mode. The one thing that I've noticed is that no matter which server I played on, that some people keep forgetting that, and that's okay. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, we all been through it, it has happened before. It's just like playing World of Warcraft, for example, when your raid leader is calling you out and saying, hey, focus fire on XYZ boss. Well, hello, again, this is like, you know, Operation Flagships, or as such, you know, you got these flagships you want to focus fire on, that you need to really focus fire on and killing them as soon as possible. it's easier to kill like the weaker targets that have less health pool than the flagships, in my opinion. But you really need to work together as a team, and unfortunately, there's no I in team. You have to really work your ass off to actually achieve it together. Now, one thing I can say is that I'm actually, quite impressed with everything I've seen so far. The game is different, it's nice, it's fun and engaging. It's actually pretty cool, and honestly, yeah, it's pretty interesting how things are going with this game mode. It's actually funny that when you see like these flagships, from destroyers to carriers to battleships, even cruisers, have this big large health pool, and you go like, whoa, okay. But it's very randomized, it's not like consistent, but I have to admit it's actually a bit fun and engaging in between. Arms race abilities, as I was mentioning a little bit earlier in the video, is that whenever you randomly kill an enemy warship as such, it doesn't have to be a flagship, but it does come across from different ships as well, that they drop a random buff that is actually quite beneficial, and I think it's actually quite interesting, to tell you the truth. I actually like it, to be honest with you. It's actually fun, it's different, it's engaging. It's actually, something that I was actually pretty excited about, pretty chuffed about. Now, it's going to be interesting going forward though to see how this gameplay, pans out now. Now, I don't know if this is like something I would really, would enjoy playing operations in this gameplay style. I would probably prefer it to be on a larger scale. Like for example, have a complete brand new operation which is dedicated to like Leyte Gulf, or even Battle for Solomon Islands, where you will have a lot of respect for the historical events that was taking place there. Like for example, in the Battle of Leyte Gulf, you could actually throw in the flagships style for the Musashi and the Yamato, for example, and have a very solid health pool on it, and make the mechanics a bit fun and engaging, but at the same time a bit tough for everyone to try and defeat them, because they were, pretty hard-hitting ships back in the day against all odds, So when it comes down to this kind of gameplay style, I just feel that this kind of gameplay style may be a bit too arcadey, I have to admit, but at the same time that, yeah, it's just sort of like all over the place right now. I just don't know. I mean, like, I just feel that, like when I do play this game mode, I just feel that, it's out of place. It doesn't feel right. But yeah, I mean, like, I was a bit disappointed about the general aspect of these Operation Flagships, to tell you the truth. I actually would have preferred that if they were going to go down in this route, they would have actually introduced something brand new, not reused the existing content and just throw something in there. However, if there could be a thing to take into consideration here, that if this is like, a starting point for wargaming to get some interest towards this battle game mode, then probably that's a good starting point. Now, has it got me interested? Yeah, it did, only for 3 hours, but it was short-lived because of the fact that I felt bored with it, and that was the only reason. So operations, generally speaking, is still fun to play with your family and friends, and even just casually socialize with the player base. But even if you had a hard day's work or anything like that, and you just wanted to chill, relax, and do anything, this game mode is exactly meant for you. Now, if you want to blow through some steam, we also do have, regarding to different game modes, like the following, like, for example, random battles, brawls, rank battles, clan battles as such, but, that's more, well, more or less, the top end difficulty as such in the game. But anyways, it's just like, it's a bit more fun and engaging. Look at that, focus and firing right there. That's a good example of, great AI teamwork right there. But yeah, okay. I mean, like, folks, I don't know about you, but this is, where I have to ask you guys and girls out there, So tell me your viewpoints about how you feel about these operations and stuff like that, and tell me what you think. But anyways, I hope you all have a great Christmas and New Year celebrations coming up. And honestly, tell me your thoughts about the preview that you've seen of Operation version 14, that the new patch is coming out. So we'll see what's going to be happening next. But until then, stay safe and take care, everybody, and tell me your views about the new Operation Flagships. Alright, cheers.